G'day folks, welcome back to the channel for episode number 9 of our Templar Skater playthrough, where last episode I forgot to do something. So, when I was talking about Zarya up here, I mentioned that there was a devotion shrine right next to her, and that you should kill her and then do the devotion shrine. Well, guess who forgot to do the devotion shrine? If you guessed me, you are correct. So, pat yourself on the back, you win a prize, and that prize is watching me fix my mistake. Now, this last node here on the Viper, that 20% reduced target's elemental resistances for 20 seconds, stacks with everything that isn't this proc, or some items also have this wording. 12% reduced target's blah resistance for X seconds is category C in terms of stacking. It's basically its own category, and this will stack with just about everything. So this is more or less just 20% more damage, so definitely worth getting. And with that said, we now have the Ethereal Essence, so I'm going to go and turn that in at the Sorrow's Bastion Death's Vigil headquarters. They will then send us to kill, or to collect the ashes from the Archon's tomb, which will happen after Darkvale Gate. However, for now, we are going to go and kill Karoz after we turn this in. So I've gathered the essence, and now we go talk to the Keeper, who is up here. What is it? I will gather the ashes. So this is kill the Chosen guarding the ashes. This is the tomb of Archon Bartholem. And the other thing is, because we've hit level 35, we now have access to the first round of faction gear. Unfortunately, for some reason, I don't have Respected with Homestead. Usually I'm a lot closer and maybe you have to go and kill a couple of beasts, which you'll get reputation for. We're fairly far off this time, and I don't need them for Chaos and Aether resistance, but I will point them out. So let's head to Homestead. If you are struggling with Aether or Chaos resistance, these boots are what you want. If you're not struggling with them, probably decent boots anyway. But these have both Aether and Chaos resistance on them, and they are pretty good. So, under Respected, I can't buy them, but these boots are quite good. They have pretty much everything you want in a pair of boots. Health, movement speed, and 3 resistances above 10%. These are my kind of go-to boots at level 35 for most characters. Unfortunately, I can't wear them, so I'm going to miss out. The other thing to note about these is the armor at level 35 is kind of middling to bad at level 35. These heavy boots, you can see, have 240 odd. This is a bit low, so armor is kind of meh, but those resistances are hard to say no to, especially when you're about to head into a castle full of chaos damage and come out the other side and fight a bunch of ethereals. These boots are good if you have the reputation. If you need the resistances, grab them. The rest of this stuff is kind of so-so. We can't use helmets because we have a required helmet. We can't use offhands, so like this one would normally be good. We can't use that because we have a required offhand. Our amulet is, I mean, this isn't required, but it's hard to say no to +1 skills. So pretty much this is the amulet you will be using, and there's just not a lot of options here. This axe is actually decent, and the proc being on attack rather than when hit is also quite good. So if I had the reputation, I would swap this in. I know it says minus, but if you turn off the flint, this is actually a very large upgrade. If I had the reputation to use this, I would buy this immediately. That blast wave will trigger from all of the pools of fire you put on the ground. It will trigger from all of the aether fire that will proc from your pools of fire on the ground. This will just be going off basically every 3 seconds on cooldown, as long as you're fighting something. So that would be a very good option. The other things you can look at, usually by this point you will have Devil's Crossing and Rovers at respected as well. And so you can come to the Rover Keeper of Artifacts. This is where I got the Mark of Mogdrogan from as well. Now, from memory, these gloves, is it those ones? Either one of these gloves is decent. What is the difference, actually? They're pretty much the same except for the attack speed versus cast speed. So these are good. I have the inscribed braces, so I'm not going to use these. But these are definitely an option. Pet shoulders, we don't care. These shoulders could be good. No, like there's no fire damage on these, but realistically, 16% fire damage when we're already sitting at, where are we? 600% extra fire. This 16% fire damage and 26% burn damage is basically unnoticeable. That's probably the equivalent of about 1% extra damage, so losing that is not a big deal. Losing that chaos resistance is a little more of a big deal, but you could use these shoulders if you were so inclined. Boots we already have. Is there a fire proc on these? There isn't. This Cold Flash I was considering using on the Spellbreaker, but anyway. But yeah, Mark of Mogdrogan, the Runestone, the Restless Remains, they are definitely worth getting. The rest of this is kind of except for the gloves. And then in Devil's Crossing, if you get to level 35 before you get the Skybreaker Circlet, this helmet right here, Devil's Cover, is another elemental seal proc when you get hit. It's a bit more burn damage as well, and some health and vitality resistance. This is good if you're still using like something from Act 1 or something like that. Decent but not amazing. And same with the chest. Where's the heavy one here? This is a huge pile of health. Some physical resistance, which is quite good. Finding Phys-Res is fairly rare. I would prefer to keep my resistances, I think. These are not overcapped by that much, so I'm not going to use this one either, but this is a good chest. Just all-round good chest. So that could be used, and where's the weapon? Is there a weapon? Maybe there wasn't a weapon for these guys. I thought there was, but apparently not. So yeah, the helmet and the chest, pretty good. As far as stuff to buy here, Gluttony can be pretty good. You get a little bit of lifesteal on that proc, which can keep you alive. Focusing Prism, no. I think that was it. Oh, the Aether Soul came from here, that's right. And then if you want to dual wield weapons for some reason, you don't like using the book you're supposed to be using, then these are the relics for those. Right. With all that waffling out of the way, let's get started on Darkvale Gate. So our mission here is to get to the end of Darkvale Gate and kill the head of the cult who is here. So let's head that way. Just under this first bridge, if you turn your screen around, you will see a whole bunch of stuff heading my way. But you can bash your way in here and get a hidden spoils. Almost never has anything good, but it is there. Press button 2 on the number pad, press button 3, and it'll take you back to this view. Everybody needs to stop that. You can see the elemental seals starting to add up. Also, elemental storm from Kalidor's Tempest, the devotion proc, pretty good. Let's go ahead and motor. So in Darkvale Gate there is one totem. It's going to be a Chthonian totem, which is worth looking out for. There's also a guaranteed dynamite just here next room, on the other side of the solid wall. So I'm going to go around and get that just because I want it. One thing that is good to do with this dash is just dash through a doorway and then watch as they all have to run through it to get to you. It's good fun. Right, here is my totem. This one's Forsaken, which which we're going to use. The other thing I was looking at between episodes is I really don't like this particular relic. Yes, 100% extra damage is nice when you get it, but 100% on top of, 20 or 30% is really nice. 100% on top of 600% is just kind of okay. And it is an extra button that I have to press, and I never think about pressing it. So I may look at changing that up, even though the guide doesn't say to change it. It says to use this one. I just don't like it, so I might just change it anyway. Alright, let's get some fire damage on the go here and pop this. There we go. Since I'm talking about it, I actually remembered to use it this time. There we go, and he should die in the fire. There we go, Flame's Virtue. That sounds like something I might want to have a look at. What do we got? Flame's Virtue. Alright. That's our new sword. Considerable increase in damage, although the +2 to Volcanic Stride is going to be very nice. That'll take us almost to the cap, so we absolutely will be using that. Astral Leg Wraps, no. And that's a pet item. Okay. I'm gonna go get my flint back. If you don't find these blue items or whatever, just go ahead and use... just go ahead and use the same trick I did, and just get a triple rare like this, or a double rare. No, just go and search through all of the shopkeepers and do a search for chance, and then just check the weapons, and you'll find one with a fire damage proc, and the damage procs always come with fire damage on them as well. So you'll find one relatively easily. I did not expect to find a blue fire weapon. The other thing to note as well is blue items are often a trap while you are leveling up, because you don't have a lot of other items with huge numbers of resistances, and because blue items often come with less resistances than greens, using more than 1 or 2 blues can actually be really bad. So for example, these gloves have no resistances at all. The Explorer's foot pads have only 13% bleed res. This weapon has no resistance. The weapon it replaced, I think, also had none, but the previous one had some chaos res on it. Pants usually are pretty good for blues, and chests also usually are pretty good for blues. But just be aware that a lot of blue items are missing resistances completely, or have, 1 resistance on a slot where you could have 2 or 3. So don't stress about not finding the right blue items, because often the right blue item is actually a green item. Why can I never get this one to drop when I want it either? +1 necro skills offhand. Very nice. Do make sure to pick up these binding glyphs. When you drop them, it's worth going back to get them. You're going to need a lot of them. Because we have chosen to side with Death's Vigil, we're going to need 9 of them just for the Death's Vigil quests. Right, let's continue putting points in the bar. We're heading for Celestial Presence here to shred resistances. And I'm going to bring Spirit up to 10. And just for fun, we're going to jump out again and change another item. Because I know everybody loves these little interruptions. Yeah. Yep. Keep the add-on. Is it that one? It is. Good. Guessed correctly. A couple times in a row now. Okay, let's actually go to Darkvale Gate now. Alright, we've already hit the totem, but if we had not, it would potentially be here. And there are a few little secret areas through here. They've all got these chests in them, none of which are going to give you a good item. They can, but they're not going to. And there's one more little secret area that I wanted to show in this particular area, which is just across this bridge. Again, there's a really fancy looking chest in this little area, and it's not going to give you anything. It's just not. But here it is. Come in here, human remains. There's also the hidden spoils chest here. And like I said, it's not going to give you anything good. But I still check them anyway because, you know, I live in hope. Alright, so we're starting to get the real Chthonians now. And we are coming up on one of the harder bosses in normal. Karoz still kills veterans. What you want to avoid is just everything. Ideally, you want to kill him before he does any of this stuff at all. That's obviously not possible on a dot build. So, things to look out for. In his first form, he's pretty tame. Okay, most builds can kill his first form. Then he will die and summon the demon Thalnosh. And Thalnosh is the thing that actually kills people. So I'll point it out when it happens, but basically he's going to put tentacles on the ground, which you want to avoid or get out of. And he's going to put crystals on the ground. And the crystals are also a thing you want to avoid. And you generally want to just ignore all of his little friends here and focus on killing him. Actually, he's dying very quickly. So never mind the crystals, never mind the stuff on the ground. It turns out the answer is to just kill him. I did not expect him to die anywhere near that quickly. But he will put little tentacles all over the floor in an area. You want to run out of those. And then he will put a bunch of crystals on the ground, which will do a ton of damage. They kind of... I can't remember if they chain the lightning between them, but they'll all zap you at the same time. And it can potentially one-shot you from full health if he has also shredded your chaos resistance, or if you come in here with less than max. So... this is his ring, really good for pets, specifically for conjurers. It's, I think, the only green pet MI ring. But we're not playing pets, so not super excited about that. The other thing to note is, same as Cronley, when you kill Karoz, you have to leave. You can't go back to town. You have to leave out the back door and get the waypoint. Because if you don't, if you go back to town and then you go, oh, I'll just duck back to Devil's Crossing and swap out this piece of gear, and now your portal is gone, and guess who's running through the entire castle again? That's right, it's you. Ask me how I know this. Okay. So the portal is just down the hill here. We're going to go get that. And then I'm going to cut out a bunch of running. So from here... Let's just make sure I'm not going to get killed while I'm waffling. The Astrakhan Road, there's another rift, then there's a big castle thingy you run across, then the Astrakhan Valley. Between Darkvale Gate, between the Astrakhan Mountains Rift and the Astrakhan Valley Rift is a whole bunch of nothing. So, with that said, I'm going to cut that entire section out. If there is anything interesting that happens while I'm on the way there, I will leave that bit in, but otherwise I will see you at the next rift. So, back in a sec. Alrighty, welcome to the Astrakhan Valley. So, as you can see, I pretty much just beelined it from where I left you, which was here. Ran the wrong way around here, actually. Should have gone this way. And then just booked it straight through here. Skip. Killed a few things along the way. Did drop this combat medics mark from a totem, which I'm tempted to use for the heal. Every 6 seconds you will get 5% plus a little bit healed. This will proc pretty much on cooldown because of the fire on the floor. This is really good at proccing things that are on attack. So that is definitely worth wearing, I think. The Issue is that it will nuke my Chaos Res back down to 70 or 69, which is quite nice. So not ideal. And the other thing I was looking at wearing is potentially these shoulders. Elemental damage works at 33% on fire, so that's basically 13, 12, 13, something like that percent fire damage, where you see elemental damage there, and then a little bit of burn damage. It's very similar to what we have already. This one will convert Aether damage, which I don't think we actually do any Aether damage, so that's kind of neither here nor there. But 50 offensive ability, 4% spirit, and 2 resistances, as well as +3 to Iskander's, which is this one. This does actually have elemental buffs on it, so this is basically an entire level worth of skill points. So that could be worth wearing. Minor increase in armor. The other thing we could do is just go farm another one of these, which I may do at the end of this episode, we'll see. But that said, let's continue on with the valley here. As you can see, up this way is a devotion shrine, which I like devotion points. The next couple of points are going to go into, what is it called, Behemoth, for a little bit of regen. Or actually it's a lot of regen. The other thing I'm looking out for is a new pair of boots. I really need to get bleed resist, so as much as these boots are really, really good, I'm ignoring the lightning resistance on them, I'm ignoring the fizz and aether damage on them. Lacking run speed is kind of meh, but 3 resistances is pretty good. Unfortunately not. So health regen, this one is a bunch of health, and then we're going to get the proc Giant's Blood. I think we skip the rest of this for now, but this is just a generally good defensive regeneration kind of cluster, and generally worth taking on anything that isn't going to be leeching huge amounts of life from auto-attacking. Is it here? Am I crazy? I might be crazy. I had thought that there was a wall you could bash here, but apparently I'm thinking of somewhere else. There is a wall down here, I think, that you can bash, but I'm not going to run that way. Let's go ahead and get this totem up here. One thing I did want to kind of poll you guys on, and leave me a comment if this is something you care one way or the other about. I do a lot of talking about gear and gear choices and why I'm picking certain things. If that's something you would rather see skipped, go ahead and chuck a comment down there, because it is taking a lot of time. I noticed a couple of... Damn, I wish that was on the Spellbreaker. I'm noticing a couple of videos now I've had, you know, sort of the first 10 minutes is just standing in town talking about whatever items I've chosen to use, for what reason, and where I got them from, and all that sort of stuff. So if it's something that's bothering you, go ahead and let me know, and otherwise I will leave them in. I know a lot of people are kind of, maybe not new, but they're looking to sort of learn why people do certain things, why certain things are used, so I might leave it in anyway. It's just, it is taking up a decent amount of time, that's all. With that said, let's go ahead and continue through here. For some reason, it doesn't like using Vaya's Might underneath that walkway. I think it was trying maybe to dash up and didn't want to work. You can talk to the Black Legion footman here if you so desire. I'm just going to ignore him. You know, leave him to die in peace, as it were. Alright, so we are now in Fort Icon. There is a rift just there, which we will be going to get in a moment. I'm just going to clear out the area for no reason at all. And then we're going to fight for the rift. So there's 37, which, you know, I'm a turbo casual, so I'm going to spend them while I'm fighting. And that's it. Okay, beautiful. Do remember not to stand in poison or in aether, as I just did. Again, ask me why I know that it's a bad thing. Definitely don't do it while you're staring at all the shiny loot. It's a good way to go back to level 1. Okay, another thing I did in between my cuts of the Astrakhan Valley is I emptied my inventory back in Homestead. I didn't turn in the quest, however. Let me check those boots. Move speed? No. I didn't turn in the quest, so I will have to go back and do that. Really hurts to sell that. Anyway, does that... it doesn't hurt that much. It doesn't have +1 Arcanist on it. If it did, I would be considering muling this. I wouldn't do it, but yeah. Oh man, it hurts. Okay, it is what it is. Venom Guard, yep. Okay, we have to go back to Homestead and turn in the quest, which I didn't do while I was there because I wanted to have it in the video. I've just cleared the rift I dropped down to do, again, really nice for a Chosen Sky Shard character. Talk to Creed here. And then we go back to Fort Icon. I had left a portal to go back for the ashes, but I don't know if I've mentioned it, but I'm really bad at remembering those. So we'll have to run back. Right, here is Creed. Alright, we'll be done. We'll pick up this quest as well. Okay, we will recover the supplies, and we will remember to put our normal chest back on. So what do we actually lose from that? A little bit of fire damage. That fireball proc. It is a nice proc, especially considering it's going to be triggering all the time. But I think I want the heal more. Alright, let's go get our Wardstone back, and that'll probably do us for this episode. Keep the add-on. There we go. I'm not going to bother putting the other movement skill back on. Our movement skill is not quite instant, but it's very close. And eventually we'll probably take Star Pact for the cooldown reduction. Although, don't quote me on that. Let's actually have a look at one of the later Grim tools and see if we did actually take that in the guide. We did not. Looks like we're getting Divine Mandate, so this is going to be our exclusive. Which kind of makes sense, because all that fire and burn damage. But anyway, as I said, let me know in the comments if you care one way or other about talking about why I'm using certain items. And with that said, thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and goodbye for now.